Relax, the keyboard is off, the press box is closed, and the mic is just getting warmed up as the Guardian of the Blue Paint turned writer is about to enlighten us. The show where the writer is fresh off the presses and the ink is not dry. For this week's show, the Hockey Writers Ink welcomes special guest Lenny Redkoles. Welcome to the Hockey Writers Ink. Join Lance and Steel as we bring you all the latest on the Flyers.
Hi, guys. Welcome back to another edition of the Hockey Writers Ink. As always, I'm your host, Lance Green.
And as always, I'm your co-host, SteelFlyers. And ladies and gentlemen, have we got a very, very special episode for you guys lined up today. We've got a very special guest sitting in here with us, don't we, Lance?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Oh, man, I'm excited to jump on here with this, and I know you are too, Lance. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Lenny Redkoles, the official photographer for the Philadelphia Flyers. How are you, sir?
Great being with you guys again tonight.
Awesome. Thank you
man.
for taking the time out to join us, for sure.
I feel very blessed that you're on here with us and very thankful. So really appreciate you taking the time out to do this. And what do you got there in the background there, Lenny? I see some really cool shots you got there in the background.
I got one overhead shot because I like, as a new age photography, coming from the old days, we have remote photography like overheads in the back of a net, and this one's pretty cool.
Oh,
it was a playoff game over the net. Got to look there.
Yeah, buddy.
Sean
Oh
Couturier
my gosh,
skating
look at
in.
that.
There it is. Sean Couturier skating on Matt Murray.
Yeah.
Shot on goal, but it's an overhead shot. I just had it printed on a metal artwork sort of thing.
Oh,
but,
wow.
It shows it off so well.
That's a remote camera. I had one recently I took the other day when they had a big scrum in front of Carter Hart, and everyone threw their sticks, gloves, helmets.
I saw that one.
It looked like a yard sale, but
Yeah.
I mean, remote photography. Here's another cool one. This is from March 12, 2018. This was actually Marc-Andre Fleury's 400th career win against the Flyers.
Imagine that.
Clark,
Wow.
you can see G. He was skating in for a shot on goal.
Yeah. Wow. Look at that.
But that's
Isn't
a net
that
game
awesome?
shot. Again, it's a camera in the back of the net, filed remotely, and
That's pretty cool.
it's cool. I mean, stuff like this you really couldn't do years ago.
No.
Right?
But
The technology.
technology's changed it. The digital photography has changed everything.
Awesome.
I mean, here's actually another cool one. This was at Lincoln Financial. I think it's 2019. The game in the rain when the Flyers beat.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
look at that.
Goal. I think this was the tying goal that sent it to overtime.
Yeah.
This was JVR's goal against the
Oh,
Pens.
wow. Look
But
at
it rained.
that.
That game was it rained pretty steady. I was surprised
Yeah,
they played it, but they played in a steady
They
rain.
played it. Yeah, they did play
I was
it.
there. Yeah.
Were you
Oh,
there?
my gosh.
Yeah.
Were you there, Lance?
Yeah.
Were you? Oh, my
Actually,
gosh.
This is when Gritty came down. He ziplined from the top of the rink. He ziplined all the way down, right across the field to the football field.
Yep, I
That
remember
was the
that.
only time it really didn't rain. But right after that, it was a steady drizzle rain all evening, the whole entire
Oh, my
game.
gosh.
That's
Wow.
pretty cool.
Look
But
at that. Awesome.
but
Thank
the
you.
outdoor games and remote photography it's really cool today, what you can do.
That's so cool that I think that, you starting out when you did and, back with,
Film.
film
Oh, yeah.
basically in your dark room and all that stuff, and to be able to take it and continue on and not just get stuck in that realm and be able to continue to learn as a photographer to use all this new technology and be able to pull off some of these shots that you are now, and just the prep that goes into these games and getting set up with the different cameras everywhere, so you're able to capture some of these amazing pictures that you've been able to capture in moments in time that us Flyer fans may remember from watching the games, but that then being able to go and see some of these amazing shots that you have been able to capture over the years is just, transcending for, from the time that you started is phenomenal in my book.
It is. And I got to tell you something, folks. Check this out, right? Ladies and gentlemen, Hockey Writers Ink, episode number 109. We welcome Lenny Redkoles. And I have a question for you. What is one of the hardest things about getting the shots? Like, what is the hardest thing for you, Lenny, to coordinate to get some of those shots, like those overhead shots? What is one of the hardest things that you have to do in order to coordinate for that?
The remotes, be honest, are very easy because, the building gives me the okay, and I get full carte blanche from the building. So I'm there 3 hours before game time when there's nobody there.
Wow.
So I have
well, so that's a key part right there.
Oh yeah, no, I get there early to beat the traffic and everything. And like if I'm going to put it overhead, I get the catwalk access card, which will go up on the catwalk, and I'll install an overhead camera. Then the NHL, if you request a net cam, that has to be installed 3 hours prior to game time, in case Hockey Ops has to inspect it. So you got to get that there ready. So kind of getting there early and getting things set up. It makes it easier, to be honest. So once that's set up, it's kind of just keeping your fingers crossed and you get the shots. A lot of times with the net cam, the play always faces like away from the net. So you're getting the back sides of the guys. The only time you're going to get something good if they actually turn and face the net.
Yeah, right.
Two-thirds of those net cam shots, you're getting the back sides of everybody.
Right.
There's a lot you throw away. The overheads are pretty cool. And I moved that around a bit, and every now and then I haven't done it in a while, I used to put like a high five cam. TV does this too, where they have like in the center where the broadcast location is, the center ice, and you'll get the guys coming by on the high five and just various different remotes. But remote photography is fairly easy once you get it set up. Some of the difficult things, you talk about something difficult, you can be set up in the perfect location as the game is unfolding, but a lot of times you have a photo location on the goal line and your referee will sit right there and planning stuff. And how many times you get blocked or you got to anticipate he's going to move out? You really, even though you're sitting nice level goal line, you say, man, this is the greatest spot in the world. How many times you get blocked? I think back to Wednesday night, the LA game when Allison scored that great goal, and I got a very nice celebration, but the initial celebration was awesome, and all of a sudden the linesman, I got the backside of him under my breath cursing to myself.
Yeah.
You do get blocked at times in certain locations, but that makes it kind of fun too, because you're competing with others and trying to get shot, but that's a little difficult. The hardest thing is not getting blocked, being fortunate enough not to get blocked by an official or even the opposing players. Like when, for instance, when the Flyers score, where I'm sitting on the goal line, you'll have the opposing team skate around because their bench is to my left, and a lot of times they'll block me because they're skating back to their bench. Oh, we just gave up a goal. Boom, we're going back.
Yeah, they're and they're not going to be very cordial to you either.
No, actually, last year, one of the games, I think it was when Drew, that was the best game all last year, was the Nashville game, when that team came back and just willed themselves to win it for G. And was it Farabee, I think, got the game winner, if I'm not mistaken. It was late, or Kevin Hayes, one of the two. And I did get a nice celebration. When one of the opposing Predators see me, and he kind of just went like this, you can see he was mad, because they needed the game. They were in a playoff push themselves.
Right.
So
exactly.
You get blocked a bit from times, but it's fun. You just.
Good deal.
That's cool. Now, who would you say on this season? I guess it could be coaching staff as well too, because who the coach is now. But who is the most photogenic, person that is so easy to capture, just a cool, ideal pick? Years.
Oh, Wade Allison's great.
Wade Allison.
Oh, I think he's just his action shots, everything. He's got a ton of energy. I mean, Konechny too this year. Konechny, those guys that skate with a ton of energy that are all over the ice. I mean, I've had some of my best picks this year have been with Allison and Konechny.
Yeah, Allison's got a lot of charisma. He loves to play the game, and you can see that he lets it out for sure. So
yeah,
that's
does
pretty
he
neat.
does he look a little better now that he got his hair trimmed up now, or he doesn't quite have the flow going anymore? You know.
Yeah. Oh,
Right.
man.
Okay. Do you have somebody that you're like bringing along? Do you have like a protege? Do you have like somebody that you're kind of bringing along as the heir apparent?
Yeah, I have an assistant. He works with me. He's my editor, primarily on the game nights, but he helps me out, Steve Kaplan. He's good. He helps me a lot, So I do have help because I need it. I mean, because on certain nights when I have 2 or 3 remotes, the NHL requires you get images up throughout the game. So he works with me hand in hand, and he's taking the flashcards and getting the images up to Getty for the league. And both teams use, because the home team photographer covers both teams. I mean, the league sends me requests also for the visiting team, and there may be a milestone moment where I got to pop in the visiting locker room post game. So there's a lot that goes on. So having Steve there makes it a lot easier, and he makes the night go smoothly. He's behind the scenes keeping the ship stern there.
Okay. So just the 2 of you guys? Like you don't have a team of people?
No, not really. We're NHLI, and then Getty Images sends their staff, local photographer, and they cover almost 90%. But Getty Images is also in partnership with the National Hockey League, so they're kind of like another assistant with us that night. We work together with Getty.
Okay.
Because I'm NHLI, then Getty's their own entity, but still being a partnership with the league, we work together.
Okay. Right. Because all of your images all say, like they all say Getty Images, and then they say NHL.
Right. I mean, because the NHL owns exclusive rights to all my images, but they have a deal cut with where Getty is like the venue, how they get their images out to the internet.
Okay, there you go.
Gotcha. Now, as far as this season goes, has it been a little easier now that you've been possibly able to get back into the locker room and it's not so COVID restricted and all that?
Oh yeah, it's a lot more like it used to be able to get behind the scenes stuff. And I think I've been putting some on my Facebook page. You've seen, it's a lot like it used to be. It's a lot more enjoyable than the COVID period. That was like prison.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody liked that time.
It was rough.
But yeah, so what's something that you feel is other than being blocked and something like that, is there something that you look forward to trying to challenge yourself with every night, or something that you try to challenge yourself with every year? Like, is there any like milestone pictures that you like to get for yourself or anything like that? Or
there's not really, unless it's like an Ovechkin moment, if I'm fortunate enough. Like this year, the biggest milestone was the Steven Stamkos 1,000 points, which he got. And I was fortunate enough that happened at my end of the rink. And those images that night went all over NHL.com, all over North America. That I was just fortunate enough that happened there. But yeah, I kind of look for those moments at the schedule to see, like, if Ovechkin had a big. It was a funny story a few years ago when he broke the became the NHL's all-time Russian score. I think he surpassed Fedorov, if I'm not mistaken, for the all-time leader about 3 years ago. And the funny thing was, we thought he had broken the record in Philly because he had scored, he had surpassed, became the all-time NHL Russian goal leader. And I got a text message from the Flyers, hey, the Capitals want you to pop into the post-game locker room, do the puck shot with Alex. I was psyched and ready. Don't you know, during the intermission, the NHL officials they switched it. He didn't get the goal.
Oh!
And so those moments are fun when they happen, when you get the opportunity. But so I kind of look at the schedule and see for even, like I said, with the visiting teams coming in, there may be a milestone that I may have to, go record or whatever.
All right. So switching gears a little bit, I know, you've been doing this a long time, but on your off days and all that, I've seen some pictures of a certain younger fellow that you like to capture out on the ice. Do you get a kick out of
Oh, my
going to?
nephew.
Yes,
Oh,
yes.
he's good.
That's who I was getting at.
He's come a long way in 2 years. And Nick's on, this is his second year in Hollydale, and they have a great
Okay.
program there. I mean, Coach Paul that he's playing for, and I'm very impressed with the whole Hollydale organization. I mean,
Awesome.
he's
Yeah.
on the Squirt B team, and I mean, he just started skate. He just turned 10, but he started skating 7.5 and 8,
Okay.
and then COVID hit. And, again, he quit. And then after COVID, he tried out last year and made the one team below. At the spring, he tried out for the current team he's on and made it. And he enjoys it, and I enjoy going there. It's nice to see the kids, and they're all it's fun.
Getting some shots in. That's why I mean I like seeing some of the shots of
I know they're awesome, right?
of him and some younger guys and stuff like that. They got to get a kick out of that, seeing a guy of your stature, in the realm of photography, getting to take their pictures and stuff. I got to think that's pretty cool. But we're at least for some of the parents and stuff too as well.
Exactly. Exactly.
But yeah, I hope to get some more of his games next year. Their season's just about done. I mean, they have one big tournament after the Super Bowl, then they're done for the year. But they have that's an elite group of young kids there. I mean, they have a very good winning season, all their age groups. I mean, they're well known in the area.
Okay.
Well coached and well run.
Awesome. So a little earlier, I got to see a preview of some of the really cool pictures that you were showing me there about the last time we were on. You were showing us a whole bunch of really awesome pictures. So would you like to show us a couple more of your really cool pictures that you'd like to share?
Digging around in some. I really got one of these days get my files sorted out, but I had some old black and whites from the early 90s. I think this was 93, 92, but in the early 90s, there was a female jockey, woman's jockey, but she competed in the Belmont Stakes, and her name was Julie Crone, and she was the first woman ever to win the Belmont. And she was a huge hockey and Wayne Gretzky fan. So when the Kings came into town that spring, I think it was around March timeline, she was racing, if I'm not mistaken, down Atlantic City. They used to have a racetrack in Atlantic City. And the Flyers set it up and brought her in. Let me see where it's at. And it's a cool moment. I've been looking for this picture for years, but she was a huge hockey fan, and she was waiting outside of LA's locker room. And lo and behold, Gretzky pops out. If we can see it. Let's see. Shows up.
Yeah. And
that's her. That's her with her Kings jersey, and that's Gretzky popping out. But she was thrilled to death to meet him, and just her expressions. And he alone, too, was just got a kick out of her. And if I'm not mistaken, here's a better one. We did another one right there.
There you go.
There you
go.
Look at that.
She's a very famous jockey. She rode for a lot of years, and like I said, she was the first woman to win the Belmont.
That's pretty impressive, yeah.
And if I'm not mistaken, and I could be wrong with this, but I think at the time Gretzky, with his trade to LA, was getting in buying thoroughbreds. So I think he was with horses, and I think that's where the connection may have came between him and her.
Okay.
And but that was a cool moment. I was just looking through some others. Here's one I was telling Steel about too. This was, I think, 93, Eric Lindros' second year. This was a famous fight with Scott Stevens. And that was a 10-beller there. I mean,
that was a doozy, yeah?
I actually went and looked it up on YouTube because I wanted to get the exact date.
Here you go. Check this out, right?
And I
hey, Lenny, I did the same thing.
And as you can see, Stevens is skating. Let's see if it shows up. Skating to the penalty box. There's a guy to the left there with a full head of hair with a lens sticking through the hole. That's me.
Oh,
right after that fight. There is a better look. Because it was February 25th, 93, that fight. And then as I seen Stevens going to the penalty box, I said, wait a minute, I got to be there somewhere. And lo and behold, there it was. I mean, in the early days of the Spectrum, we had no glass. We could sit there, no helmets, no glass, and then put glass and start cutting holes and stuff. But that was a fun time. The Spectrum was a fun place, a neat place to work out of. I mean, the penalty boxes back then, I still say to this day, was the best shooting locations.
I bet you heard quite a few different discussions.
I mean, you heard a lot there, especially if there was a heated battle fight.
Yeah.
I mean, you had poor Louis Nolan in the middle and the off-ice officials, and they were bantering back and forth. Certain nights.
Yeah. I imagine Scott Stevens coming to town, or Ty Domi back in the day. A few choice words for sure.
Because I used to sit right in there. I mean, I tell you, one of the, I don't want to say toughest times, but one time Claude Lemieux came in there after he really got in a battle, and I didn't budge. I was sitting there with my camera, and he just hovering. He was a big man, hovering right over me. I just didn't budge. So there's 2 minutes, whatever was up, and he was gone.
And you were thankful for the end of that 2 minutes, right?
Yeah.
That's a tough human right there. Whew.
Yeah, that Claude Lemieux. Yeah, boy, I'll tell you what, he's one, for sure. What was it like to be there for Giroux's final game?
That, I tell you, that team, you've seen them play last year. They just weren't that good. But that night they found it in their being, their will. I mean, they were not going to leave that rink without winning that game for him.
Right.
I mean, that was that is, to me, is one of the more memorable Flyer wins, even though it wasn't a winning season. That single game will go down in Flyer history. I mean,
some of the pictures.
Nashville had to have the win. They weren't giving it to them. I mean, Nashville needed it for their playoff push, and that was, and they had a full house. It was like the old. I mean, you felt it in warm-ups. It's like the 2010 Stanley Cup Final again. You felt it in warm-ups. The crowd was there. The electric was in the building. The buzz. Yeah. I mean, that's Flyer hockey. I remember that. I mean, it's Spectrum days in the early year. You know, it'll be back, but it's exciting. It's an exciting sport, especially in the springtime. Your team's fortunate enough to make a long run. I mean, I think it's one of the best runs in all sports, really.
Yeah.
Oh, you won't find any arguments from us. I mean, the getting to the Stanley Cup, winning the Stanley Cup is, to me, in my opinion, the hardest thing in all of sports.
Oh, I agree.
There's nothing out there that's even remotely compares to second season.
Seven game series, the most grueling, demanding sport I think of any. I mean, you know, you can watch baseball and all that, and they're great games, but the physical, you know, toughness that these players have to have in going through the Stanley Cup Finals, to be able to still be skating at the at that last level, you know, when you're trying to give it all out for the last, you know, 4 wins is, you know, phenomenal, because, you know, most every player out there has an injury or of some sort by that point, you know. They're playing hurt, and they're just trying to will themselves through it. So, but speaking on that, do you kind of miss capturing some other sports, you know, since you're so dialed into the Flyers and hockey now? I know in the past
maybe early on, as the older I've gotten, I kind of just like when, because that's a long grind. I mean, we start September, we'll go. I mean, if a team makes the playoffs, you can play to June, but it's a long grind. Any more the older I get, I kind of just chill out over the summer, recharge the batteries, and come back in the fall, and, you know.
ready to come back swinging again, right?
Right.
There you go. Cool. So, you've watched this team now for a good number of years, and we've all agreed that that we all feel that Tortorella is the coach for this team, right? You agree with that, right, Lenny?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. What do you feel this team is maybe there's some things out there. What do you think would be one of the first things you would get for this team if you had your druthers?
Well, I don't know. I'm not the GM, so to be honest, I couldn't, you know. I mean, I like for what they have on this team, I like his old school approach. Mm-hmm. You know, with today's world of analytics and all this, he kind of came back with, and it still works he's proven it can work with today's athletes. That he came in with an older school approach, hard work, and kind of reminds me a little bit, maybe not quite the same as Dick Vermeil when he came in the 70s, but that was an awful Eagles team.
Yeah.
And within 4 years, he had him in a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
I kind of get the same feeling with John here. You know, he's that sort of coach, old school, hard work, and
Yep. I've attuned it to. Do you remember when? Oh gosh, what's the guy's name from Chicago? Mike Ditka. When Ditka, when he went in and took over for the Chicago Bears, and he went into the Chicago Bears and he said, "Look here, in 3 years we're going to make it to the Super Bowl, and in 3 years we're going to make it to the Super Bowl, and 60% of you ain't going to be here."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, right, and that's exactly what happened. Within the first year, almost 60% of that team was gone, and the team that went to the Super Bowl was not even close to the team that he started with.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I think is going to happen here with this Flyers team.
Yeah.
You know, with Tortorella.
Mm-hmm.
Tortorella's coming in here now. He's shaking the stick, right? He's breaking down the doors. You said he's doing it old school. He threw away all the laptops and all the handhelds and got rid of all the little laptops and whatever on the bench. Got rid of all that. You don't need that, right?
Yeah.
These guys need to do the basics: skate, pass, shoot, hit, right?
Right.
Right. And for the most part, Konechny and Hayes and Owen Tippett have had, career years for them. So something's got to be working there,
Absolutely. Yeah.
So Len, this is a dream job. Must be a dream job for you. Of course, you've been doing it a long time. How many more years can we appreciate these quality photos before you hang up the lens for the last time?
I'd tell you, I think I could give it another 10 years, to be honest.
That's
God
awesome.
willing, I have good health. I mean, I keep in good shape. I work out. So,
hey, knock on wood, man. We'll take 10 more years of Lenny.
Listen, I hope so, because, guys, if you look at any picture out there, and definitely 95% of the articles I do, I always try to pick, one of Len's pictures to capture the article or the thought process behind what's going on, I'm describing in my articles. And if you really look, like Steel said, at some of these pictures that you can just look at and remember the game, 98% of them are Len's. Like, he just captures everything that, you remember from, years gone by, and he's got his name stamped on it, if you think so. I mean, if you really look and go through all the archives of some of your favorite pictures and some of your favorite Flyers from years past, and,
Dude,
he's just been there from
worth of
this
it.
time.
Yeah. I like the old black and whites, because pulling some of these out kind of reminisce, because the old black and white darkroom was really neat. And what do I have? Here's one you may like. The last player in the National Hockey League not to wear a helmet. I don't know if he finished with the Flyers, but he played with the Flyers.
Craig
I know
McTavish?
he did play with the Flyers.
Here he is.
Hold it up a little higher. There you go.
Yeah.
Quebec Nordiques.
Yeah.
He wore 14.
14.
Yeah, I think he played 2 years with the Flyers there. Yeah. But these old black and whites.
No.
I mean, here's another one. This is Eric.
Who was it?
Was 90.
Craig McTavish.
McTavish, that's what.
Yeah. That was Craig McTavish. With the
yeah.
This is 1993 Phillies World Series. Toronto Blue Jays. That's Kurt Schilling popped in the locker room to visit with Eric. It was an off night for the Phils. But the behind-the-scenes stuff is, I always like stuff like that.
Wow,
yeah. You see someone come in like that, and boom, that's
the coolest thing, man, to get to see like those cross sports where you see other athletes from other teams come in to support.
The
and
appreciation.
Here's another one of Eric Lindros. This was his first career his hat trick.
Oh my gosh.
He's so young. Wow.
I know.
93. I'm pretty 90. But
awesome.
Man, look at that. Listen, Flyers fans, this is the best man on the planet taking pictures here. Okay? Come on. This is why we have this for you guys. Okay. This is why we have exclusive permission by this gentleman to have his pictures on our website, because that's how good he is.
Yeah. For
Oh
sure.
man, you got another one there.
Well, I have a few more, I guess we can see. Let's see.
Oh, hey, hey man, you want to show him? We'll see him.
I just love the stories behind them.
I know.
Okay, here's a throwback. In the old days, I wouldn't do this today, but in the old days of the Spectrum, here's a overhead.
Awesome.
But I never hung up remotes. Back in those days, they physically allowed me to walk the catwalk, stand over the edge. I was like 27 with a 300 millimeter, and you'd stand over with a camera like this, and you're like this. I remember they used to make me sign a waiver.
Yeah.
You think?
But the new arena, you must have remotes. They got to be tied down with safeties, and they want no one up on the catwalk as an event is happening.
Right.
But in those days, you could go up there and, but that old Spectrum catwalk was really rickety. Not like today. You'd go and that thing. At times, I used to feel it sway. You could feel even sway.
Yeah, they didn't have quite the safety protocols back in the day.
Yeah.
But it was a nice time. But and this here for a few years in the, I'd say, early 90s, Mr. Snyder had a very private Christmas party with the players and whatnot. Here's one. It was like a family skate, an off day, and here's like one with he and Gordie Howe.
Oh my gosh.
Legends. Two legends.
Snyder and Gordie Howe. But it was an open skate because here's Mark Howe with his mother.
There you go.
Oh, wow.
And
one of the best Flyers defensemen of all time.
That's Mark and his mother. And then this, like I said, was a very private part. Here was Mr. Snyder with his family. It was Martha Snyder, Serena, and Sam was just born about a year before that.
Oh, my gosh.
But wow. I'd say this is the early 90s. It went on for a few years, but you had all the players there, and it was close to the media. And here's like Ron Hextall's son.
Awesome.
These black and whites are from back in the day are cool. These old black and whites. But
who's that? Brett? Is that
Brett? It was a behind the scenes.
Yeah, I think that's Brett.
Family get together that went on for a few years, and that was another little cool thing.
Awesome. That's another reason. That's another reason why we have to have you on, Lenny, because we love the stories.
Yeah, nobody ever.
We love all the stories behind all the pictures. Mm-hmm. But I think the stories are more exciting than the pictures.
Oh.
Well, you have such a great story about how you got the picture or what the picture means, and then the picture is just a quick second.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Well, those old black and whites were taken. Actually, here's the actual camera I used back then. It's a Nikon FTN, no motor drive. That's it. All those action pictures, black and whites you seen were taken with this.
Oh my gosh.
Manual focus. All right. And then you went in the darkroom, took the film out, you rolled it, you had to develop the film.
There you go.
What you got?
Like
surprise.
Today.
Yeah.
Wow.
Not today. It was a technique. It was an actual art form.
Right. Do you do that as a hobby, or is that something that you still like to do occasionally, just like for yourself? Or
black and white or no? I haven't shot film in years. Not since the early 2000s. It's
okay.
Wow. I don't have no. I did bring an old tank here. This is an old film tank, if you're interested. But this is how we used to develop film. You'd wrap your film onto the spools. You would do this in total darkness, but you take your negative. Here's a negative that's already been developed, but you would just stick it in your spool, and you'd be in total darkness. And if I can still remember how to do this, but rolling it all the way on, and roll 36 exposures, and you roll it on. I can still do it.
Hey, all right.
And
it's then amazing. It never left.
You would put it in your tank in total darkness, put the lid on. At that point, you could turn the light on, and you pull your developer in there, and you develop it for whatever the prescribed amount of time was, and then you put your stop bath on, which stopped the developing, and you put your filter that made it so it wouldn't be light sensitive, and then you took it out and dried it, and you had your negative. But it was, like I said, it was an art form. It was a technique and skill, and
for sure.
But today we have computers that can take these high-end digital images, can do things that could never do, you know. So now I've seen both ends I've been fortunate enough to see both ends of the spectrum.
Yeah.
And I imagine you have a much greater appreciation for the digital age.
Oh yeah, because
Yeah.
the quality of images and things like I was saying, to put cameras in the back of the net or a precarious position to get an image where a photographer normally can't be, you know, to capture that.
Exactly.
So
Awesome.
who foots the bill? Like, if somebody rips a shot and destroys one of your cameras, who fits the bill? Is that
I carry my own liability insurance and I write it off my business expense.
Oh my! Has that ever happened?
Fortunate through the years, I really haven't had much damage, to be honest.
Yeah.
Okay.
Been really lucky and fortunate in that respect, but I do carry my own liability insurance.
Okay. Wow. And then, I'm not trying to pry or anything. Do you get paid per shot, or are you just like a contract? Or
well, it's all run by the NHL. The NHL
okay.
pays us, and then they send the money to the team because the NHL owns exclusive rights to all 32 team photographers. So it's a predetermined contract that's filtered down to the teams, and then they filter the money down, and that's how it's set by the league. It's not set by the team.
Oh, okay. Because they have the rights.
They own all exclusive rights to everything. The team has exclusive rights, and then the league has all exclusive rights to the images.
Okay. Wow.
Now, anything outside of that NHLI contract, I deal with the team accordingly, but predominantly all the games and the preseason's not a part of it, believe it or not, and the playoffs are.
The playoffs are, but the preseason is not.
But there's talk about adding a couple games next year. We'll see.
You mean onto the regular season? Yeah, they want to talk about.
They may do away with a couple preseason games and add them to the schedule, kind of like what the NFL did.
Yeah, and go to what, 84 games, I think.
Something like that.
Yeah. What do you? Last question I'm going to ask for you, Lenny, is that I don't want to keep you too long.
All right.
What do you think of this team this year overall? They're exciting. They're in every game. I mean, every game's exciting. It's rare that, they're not in a game. So, I mean, they keep your enthusiasm, whatever, in the games. It's a lot better than, a lot different than last year. I mean, they're definitely competitive. I mean, I can't remember a night when they're not in a game, Exactly, and that wasn't the case last year.
No.
Yeah.
Right.
They're definitely playing 60 minutes of hockey this year. Exactly. And, even if they're losing by a goal or maybe two, and that's because they may have pulled the goalie to try to win it. So
correct.
Exactly.
Definitely a lot better team to watch this year. And, like I said before, obviously, with COVID restrictions removed and everything else, it leaves, this guy to be able to take some more amazing shots and get into some places that he has been restricted to in the last couple seasons. So definitely that sounds amazing. Hopefully, like your prediction says, you're able to keep this up for another 10 years of, great, amazing, photographs to be expected from you. And, it's always a pleasure to talk to you and have you on. We appreciate it. And, just some great stories that you don't get anywhere else. So,
nope. Thank you, Lenny, very much for being on here, buddy.
Thank you guys for having me again. All right, now.
All right.
It's awesome. Ladies and gentlemen, episode number 109, Hockey Writers Inc. Ladies and gentlemen, we welcome Lenny Redkoles, the official photographer for the Philadelphia Flyers and, of course, the NHL, too, of course. So, with that, Lance, what do you think, buddy? Another good one in the can.
I think we got another great one in the can. And, as always, Len came through with some more amazing pictures from his archives and some more great stories. So
right, exactly. I like the stories sometimes more than the pictures, but, All righty. Well, thank you very much for hopping on here, Lenny. We really appreciate it, sir.
All right. Have a good night, guys.
You too.
Thank you. I'm your host, SteelFlyers, and Lance is the co-host. Why don't you tell the folks where we can find you, Lance?
Sure. You guys can find me on SteelFlyers.com, obviously. All my stuff's there. And Twitter at Lance.Green or 39. Yeah. So
Awesome. You can find me on Twitter at SteelFlyers52, and you can also find all the great stuff and all the great things at the SteelFlyers All Sports Network at SteelFlyers.com. Once again, thank you very much for Lenny for joining us and hopping on. This has been the Hockey Writers Inc. We will catch you all on the next show.